Hello everybody and welcome to Top Tier Tutorials episode 5. My name is Danurai and I'm joined by the illustrious, the exquisite and the wholesome Mr. HolyCarp. How you doing today, buddy?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks, especially after that introduction.
Feeling all ready to show off your Ivy skills that the people know?
Yeah, as reluctant as I am to share all the forbidden secrets, I think I'm ready, yeah.
But as everybody can see on the screen, we have one pretty good Cass, and then we've got one godlike Cass. The Christmas tree Ivy is probably one of the best Casses I've ever seen. Carp said to me earlier, just before we started, was that it reminds him that the only move he ever needs is Christmas tree. But without further ado, we're going to get into this top tier tutorial. And of course, as you all know by now, our first section is the introduction. So Mr. Religious Fish, please let everybody know who you are, where you come from, and your Soulcalibur past.
Yeah, sure. So, hopefully most of you know me from Soulcalibur 6 playing Ivy, but I've been playing the series since Soulcalibur 2. Of course, back then I was just a little kid and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of mashing, had no idea what combos were. But yeah, it was pretty much my favourite game growing up. Throughout Soulcalibur 3 and 4, I became a Setsuka main. And after that, well, in Soulcalibur 5 we lost Setsuka, of course. So after dabbling in a bunch of new characters, I eventually learned Pyrrha Omega. And that was kind of the time when I first learned about competitive Soulcalibur. So I started showing up to some offline events and actually learning how the mechanics of the game works. And then obviously going into Soulcalibur 6, I was pretty ready with this competitive mindset to, put in some work. Obviously still no Setsuka in the roster, so I tried out a few different characters.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know, right? But eventually, well, I say eventually, pretty quickly, I realised how much I enjoyed Ivy. Of all the characters I played in this game, she was the one who just really clicked for me. And that's something that I think is really important in a fighting game. Just finding that character who just makes sense to you and you just have fun and understand how they work. So, yeah, I just grew to love Ivy from the beginning to, the more and more I play her, I keep discovering new things. Every time I'm in training mode, I find something new and interesting with this character. She genuinely makes training mode fun for me. So, yeah, I feel like I've never enjoyed playing a fighting game character as much as Ivy. And because of that, I'm super excited to be here to tell you all of the knowledge that I know about this character and teach you how to use her, how to do some combos, some disgusting setups. And I'll also go into some counterplay, as I'm sure there'll be some people in this stream who are only here to learn all the secrets and try and beat her.
And learn how to beat her. Exactly. Well, that was a wonderful little introduction into the past, present, and possible future, especially regarding Setsuka of Mr. HolyCarp.
Yeah, maybe I'll be here again for Setsuka, who knows?
I'm going to be here for Setsuka. That's my character. Thank you very much. I will be the only one doing a TTT on my channel on Setsuka. The rest of you
around later.
Exactly. So next we're going to move on to the the section that you all want to know about if you're a new player, trying to get into the character, or if you're a veteran Ivy player but also want to know how other Ivies play, her play style. So Ivy, as we all like to joke, is the best grappler in the game, even though we have a dedicated grappler in the form of Astaroth. And he is showing off the CSs and the ICSs here right now, just to let you know that what I'm spitting is true facts. But Carp, let the people know, if you're trying to get into, I was about to say Setsuka, if you're trying to get into Ivy, what kind of playstyle would you recommend? What's the best playstyle for her? What's the optimum playstyle? Let the people know.
Yeah, of course. So to be honest, with this character, I would be a little bit hesitant to say, this is the playstyle, this is how you have to use her. Because she's got such a wide variety of tools, a really complete toolkit. And she's able to play quite a lot of different paces, a lot of different styles, that I don't know if there is a definitive playstyle. Especially with the players that we've seen. We've seen Ivy players across the globe with very different approaches to the game, but all very successful. But in terms of like fundamentally breaking down how this character's designed, what kind of tool set she has, I would say she falls into two archetypes. And those archetypes would be primarily a zoner. So she's great at just keeping you out and controlling the space. You know, a lot of good get off me tools, and then a lot of good tools to maintain the space between you. And then the second archetype that she kind of falls into would be a grappler, as you've kind of hinted at yourself, that we like to joke about how she is the best grappler in the game. But she's also a zoner, which is pretty insane. So in terms of zoning, like she can control the range, like she's dominating in pretty much any range. So at this range, if you do anything stupid, she can just whiff punish you for stupid damage. So, you know, if you play Tira, you're never free to just kind of spam taunts at the other end of the screen. Even if she's further out, actually, she can just... Yeah, this is quite interesting while I'm on the topic. So...
Show us some of that secret long range tech.
Yeah. So people might know that basically if you whiff moves, your meter slowly builds up. And there's a set amount of meter you get per whiff. And you can see my meter just slowly building up there. Right? Look at my meter when I do this. Look at all
That is disgusting.
I know. So even if she's at the complete other end of the stage, she can just start spamming this and build meter. So there's literally nowhere on the screen that she doesn't want to be.
That looks like it. It looks kind of somewhat better than Yoshi's meter gain, even on some of his drains. Like some drains, like he gets like 3 AA of really good meter gain, but that doing it at full screen while you are the best zoner and grappler in the game, that seems absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. And then, yeah, that's just full screen. Like, when you're at this kind of range, you can challenge their attempts to run in with moves like 4B. This is 15% guard damage at tip range. So even if you just get them to block it rather than get it to land, that's still in your favor. She can start, once she gets a bit closer, she can start mixing you up with 3A plus G, 3B plus K. This is pretty much a true 50-50 because the animations look identical. So you can't afford to be passive at this kind of range. And when she gets a bit closer, she can start controlling your movement with A6 and 3B, 6A, 1A. She's got all of these great movement killers at this kind of range. A little bit closer, we start to get like 2A, A4, 3A again. Christmas tree, of course. How could I forget when I'm fighting a literal...
How could you forget?
Yeah, so with all of these tools, she's a pretty scary zoner and able to control a lot of space with punish at whatever range she wants. And as for the grappler archetype, she has these 2 command grabs, which are pretty infamous in the Soulcalibur community. This one is Summon Suffering, and this is a 60 damage, 65 damage if you get the just frame, unbreakable grab, which is insane. It's a move that just punishes you for standing there and blocking. So this character not only zones you, but she makes you afraid to just hold block or sidestep too much, because I mean this is a horizontal. And it's completely resourceless. You can just bust this out at any point. The only thing it's locked behind is execution, which is barely a restriction if you are good at the execution with enough practice.
God. Just do it over and over and over again. I mean, how many of us have fell victim to the SS get up CS get up SS?
Yeah, she can just put you in the vortex because these grabs have amazing Oki as well. Yeah, that's Summon Suffering, the unbreakable one, and then she's also got Calamity Symphony or CS. Now this one is breakable, but it's a bitch to break. Like, you've got such a short grab break window compared to other grabs. So you really have to be mashing or looking for this move, or just have reactions.
What is the break window for CS?
I believe it's just 10 frames.
You have the speed of a Yoshi AA and a Raph 6B to mash it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, pretty much. And this move is actually faster than normal grabs. Standard grabs are I-18, whereas CS is I-16, and it has more grab range than standard grabs. So she can kind of surprise you at this kind of range with a CS, which makes it all the more difficult to break. Yeah, CS is pretty scary. You can kind of use it in conjunction with her zoning as well, because like if you are at full screen or mid screen, just constantly controlling the space, keeping them out, you can really make them think about having to get in and slowly work their way in. And the sort of passive play that this zoning encourages will allow you to start grabbing them once they start being passive. So to go back to the original question of what playstyle you want with this character, I think a control-based playstyle is super powerful, because she has the ability to just say, no, I'm going to slow the match way down. I'm going to run away with these Christmas trees and zoning pokes. And then when she's ready to approach on her own terms, she can just decide, right, I'm going to start grabbing you now. So using the two archetypes, the zoning and the grappling, sort of making them complement each other, it's all part of a really effective game plan, I think. Just being able to change up the gears when you think it's appropriate and keep the opponent on their toes.
Yeah, sounds about right to me.
Yeah, I think that's what I'd say for her playstyle. But in terms of what kind of player would be interested in this character, I think, well, primarily you should be able to play patiently, I think, because this character she'll test you in certain matchups. She's not always got the best sort of easy buttons to press. She's not very good at scrapping with all the characters. So you'll find a lot of matchups where you have to be super patient, block a lot, run away a lot, zone a lot. So if you're into that, if you're into like patient play and you have like a lot of patience, I think you'll see success with her. And also, if you're just a really creative player, I think this character is really going to appeal to you, because she's got so much set play and so many layers to her set play, so many different setups. Like all her combos have like 6 different combo routes that are equally valid depending on what kind of Oki you want, or if you want to sacrifice damage for a certain setup. So if you're creatively minded, if you like all of these different moves and want to kind of piece them together and create your own little setups and gameplay and just, be able to play creatively, then I think you'll have a lot of fun with this character, because there's always more you can come up with, more dirty setups, more unique little layers of set play to be found.
And that's the kind of environment you want to create as an Ivy player, right? The dirtiest and most disgusting setups you can imagine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is a dominatrix with a whip. Like, you want your playstyle to be as sadistic as the character. Make sure they're feeling uncomfortable throughout the whole time.
Dominatrix with a whip. Sums it up pretty damn nicely, Carp, I have to say.
Yeah, play just like the character. You can be a dominatrix with a whip. Be unstoppable.
Wonderful. So, thanks for letting us know about her playstyle and what type of player would like to what kind of player she would suit, because I think that is, if there are new players to the game, especially since we're hopefully going to have an event at Evo. I mean, nobody really knows, but if we do, we might get a few more players in. And Ivy's very much one of the poster women for Soulcalibur. She's been in, I think, every single entry.
Yeah, that might be true. I'm not excellent at all, but I don't remember a game where I didn't see this character.
Yeah, Ivy's she's quite prolific in the Soulcalibur roster. So if people see her and think, you know what, that might be my playstyle, that might be my type of character, they've got the answer now. But we're going to move very seamlessly onto her strengths, her weaknesses, and her counterplay. So what is it about this character that makes her strong? Again, what are her best buttons? What's her best type of movement, etc., etc., etc. So, Mr. Carp, take it away.
Yeah, of course. I mean, when you told me about the format of this tutorial, and I saw that I had to discuss her strengths and weaknesses, I was already having a field day, because I can talk for hours about this character's strengths. I think already accidentally, when I was talking about her playstyle, I've been talking about the things that make her strong. So
Yeah, but they, you know, they're somewhat kind of intrinsically linked to a degree, so it makes sense. But yeah, you were saying how you could talk for ages about how good this character is and how many strengths she has, and then, you know, a quick little 30-second dip into what her weaknesses are.
yeah, I don't know if I can stretch 30 seconds, but I'll try.
Make it as in-depth as possible.
Yeah, I will talk about her one weakness for as long as I can. Well, we'll get there when we get there. A bit of reason for the viewers to keep watching if you want to find out what her weaknesses are. First, you're going to have to sit through a lot of time of me ranting about how amazing my character is.
I think it's good for the people to know how good you think this character is, because you are one of the, if not the best European Ivy, so your opinion holds a lot of weight.
Yeah, in that case, I should probably start downplaying her and hope that she gets buffs.
No, stop, don't.
But anyway, let's get into this. This will probably be the part of the guide where I actually teach the most about the character, because in discussing her strengths, I'll kind of be able to say, like, this is how you play the character, this is what you want to do. So, obviously, we've been talking about her command grabs. They're just stupidly strong because, I mean, she's not even a primarily built as a grappler, and she has these amazing grabs. So being able to just make your opponent afraid to be passive, afraid to hold block, is amazing, because you just instantly open up their guard and, you know, get them taking risks that they shouldn't really be taking. And CS, I was saying how difficult this is to actually break. And if you've got your opponent thinking about CS, if you've got them actually like spending mental resources, like trying to mash a grab break while they hold block, they're going to be less ready for all of the other crazy strengths that I'm about to talk about. So we'll start with some defensive things, seeing as we've been talking about offensive stuff so much. This character, not only is she amazing at opening up your guard and being offensive and mixing you up, she's also a really good defensive character, because like her duck punishment, for example, if she ever predicts a high, she can just delete your health for it. She's got this full crouch 1B, which can deal up to 87 damage. Oh, I dropped the combo. You might be seeing a lot of this. I actually suck at training mode. Like, I'm genuinely more consistent with my combos in real matches than I am in training mode.
It's true. You should see him in tournament. It's nuts.
Yeah, that's the only time I can play this character. Yeah, I need the adrenaline, I think. I need to know that I have to hit the combo.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm too lazy. Yeah, her full crouch 1B, that leads to 87 damage if you actually do the combo. Her WoW Rising B, this is character specific. Against Ivy, it doesn't do the full damage, but that leads to 84 damage against some characters. 74, I think, against everyone. So that's incredible normal hit damage just from ducking something that's high. You know,
that is nuts.
Reading high. So it makes a lot of strings really unsafe for a lot of characters, knowing Ivy could just duck and blow you up for it. Not just duck punishment as well. If she predicts a low, she's got this incredible low crush, and that will, I believe this is like 87? Yeah, 87 damage. Yeah, pretty disgusting. And her other jump moves are pretty good as well. Having a jump K with a knockdown and a small amount of tracking is super strong as well. And a jump A that's kind of a zoning tool. Yeah, she's got really good low crush or jump options. She's got amazing step punishment as well. Like if you read a vertical, for example, you can just very easily get a lethal hit on it. Can I actually do this? Apparently I can't.
maybe we'll make it a challenge at the end of the stream like we did with Boom's combos.
Yeah.
How many times can Carp drop these just frames? Hey, there we go.
Yeah, if you want to play a drinking game along at home, that's a drink for every and you'll be done by like the next 10 minutes.
God, it's only 20 past 6. You're gonna make them all drunk.
Yeah, they're not even gonna reach the combo section.
Please look, watch the full thing, go back and watch the VOD and make it a drinking game with your friends. There you go.
Oh, that would be great fun. Yeah, okay, let's have one more go at this. Nope. Yeah, basically that does 81 damage, very accessible lethal hit, just for sidestepping something. Like, that's a really easy lethal hit condition to fill. Doesn't have to be a sidestep, just any whiff punish, and she gets the lethal hit. So yeah, amazing duck punishment, amazing jump punishment, amazing sidestep punishment. Her block punishment is fine too. Like, her I-12 is actually really good. That's a lot of damage for an I-12, 36 damage. And she also has AA, which is less damage, but it puts them in this back turn state. So you get some really good set play after you punish something with AA. You know, you can threaten with a grab, either of the grabs really. You can threaten with a mid. It pushes them back enough that you can kind of play this 50-50. So yeah, she's got decent block punishment as well. I-16, she's got 6-6 BB, which is perfectly good. So all around, just a very good defensive character. If she makes a read on you, it's gonna hurt when she punishes you. So that's her defensive punishment. She's also got great buttons for counter-hitting you, because we've talked about how she's great at defending and she's great at making you not want to stand there and statue block. But I mean, if you start mashing, she's got like really strong counter-hit options. My favorite, I think this move's really underutilized, 6KB. And that did extra damage because I've got her to tech, but that's like 60 damage on its own.
Oh, of course, including the infamous Christmas tree, of course.
Oh yeah, if I can get Christmas tree into my combo, I will. But funnily enough, that is the optimal here. And the nice thing about this move is it is borderline counter hit confirmable. I think it is. I think it's counter hit confirmable, but it can be a bit difficult. Like, you might not get it online all the time. But generally, you should be able to, if they don't mash a button, just do the cancel. And this cancel is kind of ridiculous, because if they're just blocking, it's I believe it's -6 on block, and you can't react to the fact that she does the cancel. So if you want to challenge 6KB, well, if you want to punish 6KB, you have to commit to the duck or the step. And if you want to challenge the cancel, you've got to commit to mashing and risk getting blown up by the full string. So basically, this is kind of a guessing game, even on block. So yeah, she's got buttons like that that are just, that make her a menace even close range. They keep you honest. And she's got other really good low commitment pokes like 6-6K, 3A, 3K. You know, she can play a poking game. Another strength that I think she has is she has really good panic buttons. Like, in general, the way this character is designed, it is kind of easy to, well, not easy, but she's one of the characters that a lot of the cast can pressure. Like, she's not always got the best pokes, not got the best outs to pressure. But having said that, she's got some really amazing panic buttons. Like, I guess the obvious one is Christmas Tree. This move is a 14-frame startup GI that GIs everything. It does highs, mids, lows, horizontals, verticals, kicks. Yeah, it just allows you to control neutral. If you're worried that they're about to press something, just Christmas Tree and win neutral, basically.
I have my head in my hands right now.
Yeah, that's the reaction. Everyone except Ivy players.
Bruz in the chat, please.
So yeah, if you just want to take control of neutral, you can pretty much just use this as a panic button, which is great. For panic buttons when you're at slight frame disadvantage, 2-on-4B is amazing. This is a tech crouch and a sidestep at the same time. So, and also it's an I-20 poke at the same time. So she's attacking you while it's moving sideways, while it's moving towards the ground. She's basically super hard to hit unless you have like a fast mid-horizontal or a fast mid-low. A fast low horizontal, sorry. So incredibly evasive 2-on-4B. 4-4B as well is very similar. It tech steps and tech crouches at the same time. A little less reliable in terms of evasion, but it's a lower commitment move. Like if you're at this kind of range and you accidentally whiff a 4-4B, it's quite hard for them to punish it. Whereas if you whiffed one of these, you kind of are asking to die. So you've got good panic buttons depending on how much you want to commit to them. You know, she's got high commitment panic buttons, and she's got these low commitment evasive tools. And then obviously backstep. Backstep is a great panic button.
Yeah. 4G, 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 4G.
This is another one of her strengths. She's got one of the best backsteps in the game. It covers so much distance, so just a few backsteps. And you're already
Can you go back to Christmas Tree Ivy real quick? I just want to see, like...
What, go close?
Yeah, as in go close to her. And then backstep once, and now backstep again. Range is ridiculous.
It's so good.
2 backsteps put you out of range of like most people's AAs. Maybe even some BBs.
And it skews a lot of the matchups as well. Like characters with stance-based pressure or setups. Like you'll probably know this as a maxi player. There are tons of times when you can press a button that's supposed to start up your stance pressure, and Ivy's just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go over here now.
There was when we were at NFC, I was like, "Carp, I haven't actually fought you ever, so let's do some offline. Let's do some casuals." All I could do was 6 A plus B. That's literally all I could do to try and close that gap because this character's backstep is nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. And even in neutral as well, you can just keep forcing them to play the mid-range neutral game by just running away. And it's like, what are you supposed to do against this? And she's got so much space control as well that even when she backs herself into the corner, she's got easy ways to flip you behind her or start a combo that will throw you to the other side of the screen. You know, like even if she's backed up in the corner, if she lands something like this, it's like, okay, thanks for playing. Now let's go again. And you have to approach her again. So yeah, backstep. Having such a good backstep.
Redonkulous.
Really good. And then you can use that in conjunction with the other panic buttons because you create situations where your opponent is like, okay, she's going to backstep. I'm going to have to chase her down. I'm going to have to run in her face and do something. So you kind of use the threat of that backstep to just be like, you're going to chase me down this time, so now I'm just going to mash. You know, I'm going to just press a button to keep you out this time. And that's why these buttons are so good, really. People get quite eager to, you know, just close the gap with Ivy because she's constantly moving backwards. And that's when you start just, well, making them run into pokes, making them run into evasive moves. And another way of creating space that's a great panic button, Soul Charge. That's not Soul Charge, Soul Charge. And instantly you push them back to full screen with frame advantage. And it's worth noting that in general, Ivy is a character who benefits from this mechanic. Like, if you make your opponent panic and they're a shorter range character, and you get them to press their panic button, then all they're doing is essentially resetting the range to here, where Ivy loves to be. So she's a character who benefits from the Soul Charge panic button in general, which is a really good strength in my opinion.
Especially if you're going to be fighting a character like Yoshi, I assume, who just doesn't really want you to be at that range, but pushes you to it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And his soul attack has really stubby range, so he's not going to be using it in neutral against Ivy.
Yeah.
Killick's another one like that as well, because as soon as Killick puts his soul charge, he's losing health. So the fact that if this was Killick and he popped his soul charge, now you just start running backwards and you just watch his health deplete.
And I was about to say, I wonder if Milo's is watching right now. And yep, he's here. He's in the chat.
Yeah. Glad to see it happen. Yeah. So yeah, great panic buttons, great use of the mechanics in general, primarily backstep and soul charge. Going back to set play, this character's got amazing set play. She's got amazing Oki. I think one of her greatest strengths is just Oki in general. she's got so many of these knockdowns that are just super plus for Ivy, like really oppressive, where she just forces you to guess. Because she's got like all of these different moves that hit on the ground. So let's put the opponent on the ground.
There are 3 subsections of this section that are all incredibly important to me personally as a player who doesn't really understand how to fight Ivy. And I think you're about to come up to it with the Oki section.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's talk about Oki then. So if she's close up and you're on the ground, she has tons of ways to keep you down. Like she's got that. Oh, that's kind of graphic. I'm gonna.
Oh wow! Okay.
So yeah, she's got this. Low commitment low, and then she can continue her pressure. She's got all of these mids that hit you on the ground. 3B if you want a higher commitment option. And this is just close range. And once she's conditioned you to stand up, she gets you to stand up into these grabs, which we've talked about how good they are already. CS also has a ton of active frames, so it means that basically it's easy to make them stand up into it. And going back to Soul Charge as well, if your opponent's mashing Soul Charge on Wake Up, you can sometimes CS them. And because they're mashing for A plus B plus K, the game takes that as, oh, you tried to break a back throw, did you? And this is a front throw. So if you read them about to mash Soul Charge on Wake Up, CS is a really good cheeky way to trap that. And then if you think they'll get up, you can just do that, obviously.
We also just appreciate the fact that it looks like you're teabagging the opponent while you're doing CS.
This is a legit strat, like just teabag and mix them up. And then if they start ducking, you just do a teabag into a mid. If they start panicking, you do a teabag into AGI. Like, this is so legit, and I hate myself for it.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do secretly love it. So if anyone's ever fought me in a tournament and I've literally teabagged in your face and then grabbed you, that wasn't BM. That is just how this character is played. I apologize for that. But yeah, we're talking about Oki, and I've only shown you the close-up stuff. Even if she's at this kind of range, she's got B6, that'll hit you on the ground. She's got full crouch 3B. She's got 3B plus K. She's got 8B plus K. Further away, she's got 9B plus K. A lot of people like to roll forward because they think you're going to do this on Oki. So she's got, not that move, she's got this move, 1B plus K. If they roll forward into that, they take all of the hits, and then they're back at this range, and it's like, guess again. Now am I going to do B6, full crouch 3B? Am I going to do the mix-up with these moves? And like a ton of her combos give you the option of how you want to end the combo. Like, let's get her back on her feet. You know, like, you can go for standard mid-range Oki enders, but you can also go for... You wouldn't do it on... Well... Let's do...
I like that. You wouldn't do it on... Well...
Yeah, actually we'll do combos later, but basically take my word for it now that she has a ton of ways to choose how she wants to end the combo. Does she want you on the other side of the screen, or does she want you like right by her feet? So depending on the matchup, you know, some characters have really good close range punishment, so you might not want this kind of Oki situation, and Ivy can do that. She can say, okay, I'll take this kind of Oki situation and I'll start harassing you with various pokes. Yeah, 1A is a very good one. This catches all forms of roll. Christmas tree fits into the category for everything, basically, because like this move does everything. So it's also an Oki tool, as well as being a spacing tool and an AGI and a horizontal and a mid. Yeah, just got a ton of stuff to
Excuse me.
make you hate the moment that you've been knocked down and just kind of vortex you to death if they guess wrong. So that probably covers Oki. Another strength is that she has an amazing ring out game. Let's get the opponent
Oh, yes.
to reset ringside. So for starters, her I-16 rings out 66BB. which has a ton of applications because GI level 2 is plus 16. So if you're by the edge, if you ever get a GI on them, you can mix up between doing 6-6B or something delayed. If they don't GI, you can go for slower options, like you could do GI and then full crouch 3A plus B. And the great thing about this move is the second hit is a break attack. So if they try and reversal edge, they're still going for a swim. So, yeah, she can punish you as well, like, because I said this is I-16. If she whiff punishes you at all, or you do something that's minus 16, like maybe you're Zasalamel and you throw out a 3B hoping that it'll reverse ring out, well, that's minus 16, so she punishes with this and she rings you out. And then as well as that, she's quite unique in that she's one of very few characters who can ring you out at this kind of range, like, very easily. If you just stand there blocking, she can do a 50-50 to ring you out. She can do 2A plus G. This will ring you out quite clean. She can do, if you predict that and you start crouching, she can do either 2B plus K or 3B plus K to ring you out.
Just a cheeky little slide out, no problem.
Yeah. And like, even if, let's bring her a bit closer. Even if they're not quite at the ring edge for that to ring out in the one hit, you can extend the combo. And like, this would have rung out from like, if Ivy was stood where I'm stood right now, like probably even here, this would have rung out. So this lethal hit has ridiculous ring out range. So does 3B plus K, that will ring her out clean. So you've got a ton of ranges where you can apply this mix up and ring them out for it. And I'd say like the ideal range is kind of like here, where you can do this mix up and it will ring them out. But the counterplay to that mix up is for them to sidestep. So if you predict they're going to sidestep thinking that mix up is coming, well, you've got a safe step killer for that. While rising A, just catch them on counter hit, and that's also a ring out. So basically, when this character has you backed up against the edge, ideally with a small amount of distance between you, you just have to guess for your life, and if you guess wrong, you're going out the ring, basically. If you
Taking
do
a
anything
dip.
stupid, yeah, you'll also be taking a dip for doing anything stupid, because she can whiff punish very comfortably at this range with B6, and that's a paddling. If yeah, I mean, this will just catch people randomly. Like, I'll just stand in this kind of range and just start spamming B6 and hope one of them lands, because provided they're not a long range character, this is a very low commitment poke that you can just throw out there. And then, yeah, if it lands near the ring edge, you get the ring out. I guess that covers the majority of her ring out. Her forward
front ring out, yeah.
Yeah, but we're just getting started. So,
I mean, if anybody's seen the infamous clip that Boom has on his opening of Boominati, you know about one of them.
yeah, we
That
might.
one. Yep.
It won't quite from this range. They do have to be a little bit closer. But yeah, this kind of range, I think. Oh no, I moved her forward. So you don't have to have your back flush against the wall. Against the edge, sorry. Oh, I messed it up. But oh yeah, that also reverse ring out as well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, if you duck something, you can do either while rising B. Again, this isn't quite at ring out range. Oh no, it is. My bad. A ring out game is even better than I thought it was. Yeah, she ducks.
Why did I invite you onto this, Carp?
Yeah, you should have known what you were signing up to, really.
True, true.
So yeah, she predicts a high, you go for a swim, right? She predicts a low, you go for a swim, because this actually won't bring out, I promise. But if she's closer to the edge, she can just jump. And if you do a low or a grab, then you're going out the ring. If she predicts a vertical and she sidesteps it, you're going out the ring. And like, even if I sidestep this like too far and I end up off axis, I can reposition myself. So like, let's set the replay. Notice how after this lethal hit, I did a sidestep before the 6B. So the fact that she can do that, basically wherever this lethal hit lands, if it's anywhere vaguely near the edge, you can just reposition yourself, then 6B. So in other words, if you whiff anywhere near the edge and she gets this lethal hit, then you're going for a dunk, basically. Yeah, she's got an answer to highs, she's got an answer to lows, she's got an answer to verticals, which most of your mids are going to be. And yeah, I briefly pointed out that this reverse rings out. And
The
this
range
is
on that as well.
Yeah, it's got decent ring out range. People just forget about it. But like the thing is, this isn't just a gimmick. Like I'm sure you're thinking, oh yeah, but your opponent can just break the back grab all the time. Or maybe they can duck it. No, they can't duck it because this is an unseeable mid that reverse rings out. And the reason this is super significant is that it creates this guessing game for the opponent where if they don't break this grab, they die. If they duck or press a button and get count hit by this, they die. So basically you have your back to the ring edge and they become terrified to do anything because if you read it, they get rung out. All they want to do is just basically stand there and break the back grab. And if you're playing an opponent who does this, which is most people who know the matchup well, all you need to do is just CS them. Like it is physically possible to do a little option select where you break CS and then you switch to the back grab. But that's difficult, and if you mess up, you don't break the back grab and you die. So generally speaking, when your back's to the edge and your opponent knows the matchup, don't even hide the buffer. Just CS the bitch. This is free. It's free 80 damage.
Don't hide the buffer, just CS the bitch.
Yeah.
I think is my favorite quote that I've heard ever.
So far. I mean, we'll see what else I have to say about this character.
Oh my god.
But yeah, literally. And if you think your opponent might be tricked by that, you can pretend to do the buffer and then just do a mid and ring them out. So just by having bad ring positioning and letting yourself get put back to the edge, you can turn the whole thing around and just be more terrifying than the character ever was before. So yeah, if anyone tells you that this is just a gimmick ring out tool, it's not. Like the mental, like the mind games that you get from that is just insane.
Proper legit.
Yeah. So reverse ring out, forward ring out. I mean, you'd think that we'd be nearly done with strengths by now.
We've still got one more section.
Oh. Yeah, I think there might be more than one section, actually. I'm probably going to forget something, if anything.
Maybe, and just have to look through.
Yeah. Well, while we're still on the topic of strengths, I swear I'm nearly getting done now. I'm nearly talking about how good my character is. But one overall thing about all the things that I've been talking to you about in general is that like think about all the disgusting things that I've shown you so far, and like that's not even the half of it. I haven't even got into like a ton of the setups you can do. Like I think this is really important, like just the fact that Ivy gives you so much to think about, right? Because if she gets you thinking about CS and you're there standing, mashing a break, you know, or looking for the animation for CS, it's like, okay, are you going to be ready to block this? This is a borderline reactable hell sweep, right? But if you're thinking about CS, are you ready to block it on reaction every time? If you are ready to break CS and block all of these on reaction, then it's like, okay, are you ready to deal with this mix-up? Are you ready to sidestep when you see me get to the, like purposely get into this kind of range, you know, and are you ready to punish it optimally? And it's like, okay, so you're able to break CS and you're able to react to 22k and you handle this mix up really well. Well, are you going to handle the feints really well? What if I do the feint to make you think about the mix up and then I CS you? Wait, let's actually CS. There we go. Are you going to break that one? You know, and I've got you think about all of those things as well. What if I choose to end a combo with this move instead, and then I start enforcing this kind of mix-up instead of the usual combos that I end like this, and then I start enforcing this mix-up. basically she has tons and tons of layers of set planes, so many things to get you to think about. That well, I feel this way with Ivy more than any character I've played before. She's just super good at like overloading your opponent's mental stack. So by that I mean like the capacity of things they can think about in one game. So if you get them thinking about all of the bullshit that your character can do, they kind of stop thinking about other things. They get sloppy with spacing and whiff punishment and block punishment. Like I'll do some of these and they won't punish it properly. Or they'll punish it properly, but they'll stop thinking about spacing. So I'll do this move at this range where it's got enough pushback to be safe to their I-12. They try and punish it, I punish their punish. You know, mind games like that. So you can really like overload your opponent with so many different things to think about and work out where they're being sloppy. And Ivy kind of has an answer to pretty much anything that opponents do sloppily. So you can just counter it. So overall, just all of these different strengths, I think they really complement each other really nicely to make a character that's just a nightmare to fight, no matter what range she is, no matter what she's doing, whether she's attacking or defending.
Yeah.
And that seems like a good place to wrap up the strengths. However,
I kind of just want to say really quickly that when I'm looking at this document, I can fill an entire like screen's worth, and like it would take me a taller screen to fit in the amount of strengths that you've put down. It takes half of a screen to put in her weaknesses and counterplay. That's how many strengths this character has.
Yeah. I mean, for context, I do want to point out that I think this way about a lot of characters in SE6. This is a game that's balanced in a way that just everyone is completely messed up and like super strong and has stuff that is, you know, it finds the line of being game breaking and then just kind of dances on it, but doesn't quite break the game. But I do think most characters in the game, you could list a full page of strengths and then only have like 2 bullet points for weaknesses. So for context, I'm not trying to say like this character is broken. Please nerf her.
No, that is definitely what he's saying. Okubo, please nerf Ivy. Thank you very much.
Right, that's it. I'm writing more weaknesses now.
Yeah. She's not Setsuka. That's the biggest weakness.
That is a weakness. Yeah, I need to create a Setsuka Cass for Ivy.
Oh, please don't. It'll make me pine more. But yeah, please move on to your weaknesses so we can at least know that she has some.
No, I'm not doing weakness. I'm not done with strengths yet.
God damn it.
Okay, let's do one last strength because any more than that and would be kind of taking the mick. So we'll do one more strength.
Okay.
I think she has quite a good soul charge. I don't think it's amazing. I think there are a lot of characters with more ridiculous soul charges in this game, but I think hers is very good. Primarily because of this move, 66KK, which is an I-16 tech crouching mid, which has a fat hitbox as well. Like, you'll be stepping and you'll get hit by this for no reason, get deleted. It's really unfair, and that happens sometimes. So it's just all around an amazing mid. It is on the stance entry is plus 16 on hit, so you can combo it in CE for about 80 damage, or you can be plus 14 and do this really messed up mix up with this unblockable or with this mid. And if you do the full thing, that is plus 12 on block with a load of chip damage and soul charge, or if they get hit by it, it's over 80 damage. So yeah, there we go. 74 damage. So yeah, she's got this ridiculously good mid and ridiculously good unblockable high to mix you up with. And even on block, this is plus 6. So she can just do it, and if it hits or if it gets blocked, it's still her turn to keep pressuring you.
Raph kind of frames on block.
Yeah, super oppressive. And the reason I think it's so ridiculous is that it's on this character. It's on a character with an unbreakable grab. So this is a character who can just run at you and you need to do something. You need to guess, right? It's really hard. It's really easy to hide the SS buffer. Like, I can pretty much just do it from neutral now. Or I do like a teabag, like at range, and then run in and grab. So if you look at that, like all I did was twitch. So the fact that this character can just like twitch and run in and make you act, like giving a character like that I-16 mid that is that messed up on block and hit is super scary. And the thing I said about overloading your mental stack, you know, by adding more layers to her guessing games, you can really just steal wins with the soul charge just by overwhelming them and guessing right. Like you can do little resets as well. That's a nice one. Yeah, just a really decent soul charge, and she's also got a great mid here. If they tech there, they just die. They absolutely die. Let's show that. Yeah, like, please stop teching here. It's just not worth it.
Oh god.
Yeah, like this didn't need to do more than Half-Life. That didn't need to happen. Just stop teching there, please. Yeah,
I mean, I think the more annoying thing is that it's a vertical a long range vertical that tracks a tech.
Mm-hmm. That was too late. And there are a lot of situations as well where that becomes a tech trap. So even if a combo sends you all the way to the other end of the screen, like stop thinking it's safe to tech. It really isn't. Don't stay down. Not worth it.
Stay down.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, really good mid with a horizontal mid AGI attached to it. It's 0 on block, 20% guard damage, so it's just good to throw out, whether it gets hit or blocked. You can GI the second hit, but if you do, then this is really awkward to set up because the CPU never understands how to GI. So if they stand guard and then play recording 1 to GI, this is actually a punish. Like legitimately, that punishes their GI. So you just do 2 to A plus B into another 2 to A plus B. So yeah, good soul charge pressure. One final thing to say about her soul charge that makes it really good. It's kind of unique in that it's pretty much maybe up there with Mina as well, but it's one of very few soul charges that just makes her better at zoning. So it's a very good counter soul charge. Like we were talking about like Killick in soul charge, for example, how you want to just keep him out as soon as he's in soul charge. Well, Ivy can do that. Like, not only have you got the initial soul charge burst to push them back, but she also gains access to this poke, which is an I-18 tech crouching mid, really low commitment. Pushes them all the way back there. If they start stepping it, she's also got this, which is an I-20 horizontal. You can't step that. And it pushes them all the way back to that kind of range. So if for some reason you need to keep them out when, like, whether they're in soul charge or maybe your guard's flashing red and you need to buy some time, you can just pop soul charge and just stall them. You know, wait for their soul charge to run out every time they get closer. Just start doing these. Combine that with other zoning pokes because you're plus here, so I could do one of these. Now look how far out she is. Or I could do one of these and just start backstepping. And it's like, good luck chasing me. And then when they finally close the gap, eat another one of these, start backstepping. So basically, Ivy in Soul Charge just has the ultimate get off me tools.
Yeah, she really does.
Yeah, and I think that genuinely is all I'm going to say for strengths.
We're finally done with the strength.
Yeah, from now on, it's all plain sailing. We've got that out of the way. So let's do weaknesses, as I'm sure a lot of people in this chat room whose names I recognise and aren't Ivy players, so they're probably here to learn how to counter this character. So in terms of weaknesses, I don't think she has that many glaring weaknesses, as demonstrated by my 1 hour rant that just happened now about her strengths. But one thing I would say is that her pokes generally don't have amazing properties on them, especially the close range ones. So as a result, this character doesn't really play what I like to call small caliber, which is like just basically low risk reward poking. Like, think about Xianghua. She's a character who plays small caliber. You know, she never takes risks. She just uses all of these safe buttons and slowly chips away at you. And Ivy's not very good at that. Like, she doesn't have amazing risk reward on the low commitment stuff. Like, it's pretty much just like 3k. But primarily this character doesn't have a generic 2A, which I think is really significant. Not having a 2A it means you have to hold a lot of pressure that other characters do. It cuts out like an option to beat out tons of stances and like a lot of near neutral situations where you think your opponent might do something and you just want to challenge them. You know, not having the I-12 tech crouching 2A does hurt her. Like, for those of you who don't know, her 2A is I-16 instead of I-12, and it's minus on hit. So it's a good move still. Like, it's a nice little zoning poke just to harass people. But, you know, negative on hit, 10 damage, not very fast. It doesn't do what 2As usually do, basically. Her BB, most BBs are I-14 and plus on hit. Hers is I-16, negative on hit. You can GI the second hit on block. Like, it's just not a good poke in general. AA, it doesn't jail. Most AAs jail. Hers, you can duck the second hit and launch her for it. Even if you don't duck the second hit, it's minus 12 on block, so you can block punish it, or you can GI it. So you mix it up with AK, but this is counter hit only, and you can sidestep the second hit, and you can GI the second hit. Basically, her using A is in itself a bit of a guessing game. She's not got like a low commitment, small caliber poke with AA that other characters have. You know, she can't just kind of play these mindless pokey games and scrap with the opponent.
Yeah.
So one weakness in general is that this character does not scrap with people in general. And you'll find if you come from playing other characters who play more traditional Soulcalibur, if you try and play Ivy in the same way, she's not gonna, she's not gonna play like them. She doesn't have these amazing like high reward normal hit attacks, pokes with huge plus frames and really good frames on block. So if you start playing like that, you'll start wondering like, hey, why was HolyCarp going on for hours about how good this character is? I don't see it. You know, if you try and play too much Soulcalibur, you'll think she's weak. You need to be playing Ivy Caliber. You need to be doing what she does best, and that's not really engaging in poke wars. This character more wants to basically nope out of poking wars with Christmas tree or backstep or evasive moves.
Nope out of poking wars sounds about right.
Yeah, just say nope. I'm gonna head out now. Or just you'll find yourself having to statue block quite a lot, and it's not a bad thing in a lot of matchups. Like, you'll take some guard damage, but you know, if you want to play low commitment with Ivy, it's going to involve blocking a lot. You know, and then when you've got a bit of wiggle room, you might backstep and block, you know, or sidestep block or sidestep duck to try and, you know, encourage a whiff. But like, Ivy's idea of small caliber is very like defensive based. It's not always press a button because it's my turn. It's often I'm +4. Well, you could probably still contest me here, so I'm just going to back off. And if you do something stupid, I'll punish you for it, you know? So that's one weakness, I would say, with her. She doesn't really scrap with characters. And as a result, that does also make her kind of high commitment in general. Like, even some of the low commitment stuff, like 66k, like, that's still kind of bad on whiff. So... And like, if you don't play low commitment and you just constantly spam like these grabs and these launchers, it means that you're going to have a really bad time against characters who punish well. So one downside to her being designed generally quite high commitment is that she does have some difficult matchups against characters like Raphael and Sophie, who, you know, just block punish and whiff punish incredibly well and at any range. So the fact that you're forced to take risks will kind of make it difficult in certain matchups. And along the same lines, her recovery frames in general aren't that amazing. So Like, I mean, for saying what they are, like a lot of her ranged folks do have better recovery than they deserve to have. But in general, like if this character whiffs, or if like one of her high reward pokes gets blocked, she's either going to get punished or she's given up her turn. So she's not a great character at just constantly keeping her turn. Because I think a lot of characters, when you fight against them, you need that kind of game plan. Like Aswell in Axe mode, for example. When he's in Axe mode, he's not super fast. Like his fastest button is I-14 and it's linear.
Mm-hmm.
So when you fight Axwell, you want to be making him feel like it's never definitely his turn. You want him, instead of him thinking, okay, it's my turn, I'm going to mix you up now, you want him thinking like, is it my turn? Should I block or not? And Ivy's not great at doing that. Like generally, you know, if you block like a 3A or something like that, it's pretty much safely your turn. So that is one minor downside that her turn stealing.
Nice clarification that it's one of the minor downsides.
Yeah, I mean, characters in this game don't have major downsides in general. Like, that's just how the game is, I think. But yeah, and the only other possible downside I might say is that her CE is bad. It's not very good. If people try and tell you otherwise, they're lying.
That section was literally bad CE. It's really bad. Next.
Yeah, yeah. That's my thoughts on it, pretty much. I'll admit it is actually really good from stance. It's either I-12 or I-11. I haven't tested it thoroughly. It's really unique in that it beats I-12 CEs at neutral. So for all intents and purposes, it's I-11 with invincibility frames from frame 10. So it means that you can basically, like when you're in stance, you can press a really fast button. You know, like if you do 2 on 4B and they always contest it, you've got this. So it's all right from a stance because it's so fast, but normally it's just bad because like it only does verticals. That's the problem with it. And if you predict a vertical, you know, we've already seen you step, you lethal hit 2-2A, and you take off a third of their health.
Mm-hmm. Balance damage.
Yeah, it's good situationally. Like there are some moves where it's super useful, like 2B's aerial leap A+B, you know, where she throws pod and it creates that quake stun. This will parry the quake stun or the attack, so you can just kind of kill it on reaction with this. So it's a specialist CE. But
disgusting.
Yeah, outside of only a very few uses is it actually good. In general, Ivy is forced to just spend her meter on soul charge. Or soul attack. Her soul attack's okay, but not great. Like generally her CE
it looks cool though.
It looks really cool, yeah.
And that's the main part of soul attacks, right?
Yeah.
It's just to look cool.
Yeah, everything about this character looks cool, to be fair.
Yeah, agreed.
So, that covers weaknesses. Just a really quick note on how counterplay works with the character as well. I mean, some of it is quite intuitive, because it'll be like exploit the weaknesses that I talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But the main things I would say for counterplay is, first, you need to be really comfortable with this character. Like I was saying earlier, she makes you think about so many things, like breaking CS and all these mid-range mix-ups and these cancels like that one and that one. You basically need to be very familiar with the character. You need a lot of matchup experience. You need to be able to block break CS on reaction, block 2-2K, challenge like these cheeky little stance entries. You know, like if she does this into this into this, like that's not real. It's kind of real because you're afraid of this, like the second hit launching you, but you should be able to react and challenge her, or, you know, make a defensive read like step duck. So get used to seeing things like that, basically. In terms of the mentality you need to fight this character, you need to just be really patient. Accept that you are going to get zoned out by this character. Because, like, a lot of people that I fight, they make it their life mission to just run in and, like, after every time they get pushed back, like, they'll block one of these, and every time they'll close the gap and like do, and the mix-up will be like, am I going to run in and attack, or am I going to just run in and block? And like, I can limit my responses to cover those two options, you know? But it makes it harder to zone you if you're the kind of player who gets pushed back a bit, but every now and then you're willing to stay here for a minute and then move forward. You know, maybe sidestep to bait something, or backstep to bait something, and then move forward. So don't don't move in predictably. Don't make it your life effort to just chase her down after every single thing she does. You know, be willing to chill at range only momentarily just to try and bait something, but just so that your behavior isn't completely predictable. I think a lot of people don't realize it's easier to zone people who are trying really hard not to get zoned, because your movement becomes really predictable. All you're doing is forward movement. So, you know, if I start doing things like this and this, don't be afraid to like space out and try and bait a whiff. You know, play cautiously, but also play defensively.
Which is something you wouldn't expect to hear against a zoning character, right? Like play defensively.
Yeah,
Like a lot of the time you'd be expected to kind of just go, try as hard as you can to get in. But like you've just said, if the IV is clocking that all you're doing is like a sidestep here and a sidestep there, they can pretty much just rely on their verticals and then some horizontals to keep you out. So sometimes you have to sacrifice a few seconds of just trying to make them whiff, or, you know, trying to bait out a GI or something, and you're able to get in and blow them up.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Because like I wouldn't encourage people who play a short range character to just keep playing the mid range against the IV player. Like that's not going to end well. But there's a balance. Just as you said, there's, you know, you need to be comfortable to play at the mid range briefly, bait something before you move in, and just vary the way in which you approach. Don't always just run in her face like a madman. Sometimes run in a bit, try and bait something, run in sidestep, block. You know, just be a bit more varied in how you approach her. Yeah, and like don't get super frustrated and mash like a madman. Like a lot of people think that the way they have to play Ivy is to just never stop mashing, and it works for a bit. But then I'll just start doing moves like that. Like, I'll just start counter hitting you and like start deleting your health for it. Like, make sure you find the balance. You want to disrespect her and make sure that she's not allowed to run her own game of like throwing out all of these grabs. But don't, you know, find the line between disrespecting and, you know, being a complete madman, and like don't quite cross it. There's definitely a balance there. A couple of minor things as well when you're fighting her. Be active on your defense. You can't afford to stand there and statue block too much against Ivy. And I know this contradicts what I said about don't match like crazy. But what I mean is that, like, you know, moves like GI or step block, step 2G, or even backstep when she's in close range, or when you're at minor negative frames, kind of choosing to disrespect and like poke with like your 2A or whatever. You know, you need to be making decisions like that, active decisions on defense, but not quite to the point of being stupid and panicking. I think that's the art to fighting this match in general. And finally, make sure you punish everything optimally, because as I've said before, this character does have to commit, and you'll be surprised how unsafe some stuff is on whiff. And some of the key tools are unsafe on block, like full crouch 1B is an amazing move. You need to be punishing that, unless you're Nightmare. Sorry for any Nightmare players in chat. But if you've got an I-12, you need to be punishing this move, because she can't be allowed to spam it for free. And like, if you duck a grab, and like, if you play my Ivy, you duck a grab, and then you punish it with Well Rising K, like, please don't have the nerve to tell me after the set how terribly your character loses to Ivy. Like, of course you're going to lose to Ivy if you take a massive risk of ducking in her face and then punish it with a Well Rising K. You know, punish optimally. Like, if it's the mirror match, you want to be punishing with this or with this. Or if you're really fancy, with this for the lethal hit. Like, you block punish, whiff punish, duck punish as efficiently as you can, and the numbers will start to be a bit more in your favor.
Yeah.
And that covers strengths, weaknesses, and counterplay, I think.
Yeah. Well, you did warn me that this section would take the longest because it is filled with a bunch of information, especially her strengths part, but this is meant to be an in-depth and educational, informative tutorial. So, thank you very much for doing as requested.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But now we're going to move on to the combos, tech traps, and frame traps section, which usually we just kind of rattle off because it's they don't really need much explaining. I mean, unless you wanted to talk about the setups in which you can get them, but generally it's just to show people what this character can do in certain situations. And I think, as you said earlier, Ivy does have a lot of combo routes from a lot of starters, so it's interesting to see all of them, from the most damaging to the easiest to the least damaging to the hardest, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, of course. Like, as you said, with her having so many routes, I probably won't be able to go through all of them because it would take way too much time. Like, she's got so many valid combo routes off each of her starters, depending on what kind of Oki you want, what kind of setups you want, how confident you are with your execution if you want to do easy mode combos. So I'll just try and cover some of the fundamental stuff. And a disclaimer, as you've seen, I can't do training mode. This is my worst mode of all the modes in this game. I love Creator Soul, and I love like 2-player. I'm pretty good at Libra of Souls, but I can't do training mode. So I'm going to drop a lot of combos, and it's going to be messy. And if you're still playing the drinking game, good luck.
But we'll all be here for you when you drop them.
Yeah. Can't wait. So, let's just rattle them off fairly quickly. Some of the important things you need to know. So, and a lot of them are character dependent as well. I'll try and point that out if there are any. But your biggest 2 combos that you can get, biggest normal hit damage that Ivy has, without resources, as far as I can think, are Lethal Hit 3B and Lethal Hit 4-4B, which procs when you go underneath a high. So these are the 2 big daddies of her launchers. If you land these up close, you get 6-6B plus K, 2-1-4B. It's just frames. Hey, we started well. We actually did it.
Type in the chat for Carp. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's get some pog champs. Yeah, so that's the one successful combo you'll get to see today. That's her biggest normal hit combo damage that she gets without resource. Exactly the same on 4-4B. If you're in range for 6-6B plus K, you do that route, and it's pretty consistent. So that's probably the most important one. You'll need that for reversal edge, like if you sidestep or duck on reversal edge, you can punish with that. And if you hit this at not quite close range, you just step forward, do 4A, and then the same combo. And that'll do like 87 damage. You lose a bit of damage, but it's still pretty good. If you're going for the ring out, you can like sidestep to reposition yourself, and then
and then drop the combo, and then punish. That'd be great.
Yeah. So you can do a little sidestep before the 4A if you want the ring out or wall splat. One of the next highest launchers that you should be aware about is Spiral Lust B. This is most accessible if they counter attack. You can get the full launch. So if you're up close, this is your optimal. Really good Oki off this because they're kind of in range for like this kind of mix up. And if they don't tech, you can end it with 2-1-4B or 1AA. So yeah, that's your go-to on a close range Spiral Lust B. If you're a little bit further out, you can just you can just do. The problem with this is
there you go.
So you do exactly the same combo, but with 4A, and then 2-1-4B. And then if you're at tip range, just do 4B8, and that's still pretty good. You also were asking about tech traps and stuff like that, I remember. You can do like a little cheeky tech trap / dead trap after this launch. If they stay down, you do that. Well, I'll show the tech first because she's teching. If they tech, you do this. So it's kind of a mix between, yeah, if they try and tech, it shouldn't actually do that much. It's got to count it on, I think it's like 80, 70. And then if they don't tech, oh yeah, I do need count it on. If they don't tech, you nail them with that.
Smack them with that.
But for counterplay, because a lot of people, I don't think have blabbed this, so I'll save you the trouble. If you're at this kind of range, if you're not close up to her, you can just backwards tech and get out of the mix-up. And if you're at close range, you still have the option to tech forward and then soul charge. Or tech forward and RI is also an option now.
Do you have enough frames to like AA if you've got an I-12?
No.
No.
I don't think you
Well, if you don't have bar, just take it. Take the damage.
Just guess right, bro. Well, the thing is, generally, if she is up close and she goes for this mix-up where it's the most scary, you are actually sacrificing quite a lot of damage. See, that's why I keep dropping it, because there's this bug that if you do it at a certain timing against Ivy or certain other characters, it drops.
Yeah.
But
probably an active frame bug, but that is really weird, yeah. I think I've seen it happen like once or twice.
yeah, it's character specific and it's really annoying. Yeah, what I was saying is that it's a 77 damage combo. So if they stop it here and go for the mix-up, like they are giving a fair chunk of damage away to do that. So the range where it's most scary is where you get the most guaranteed damage anyway. But yeah, that's probably worth knowing. I guess full crouch 1B is an important one to cover as well. This is a really high launch. The optimal is to turn around and do 4A. Oh, so close. That does 87 damage just off full crouch 1B. So you can use that to duck punish or just as a mid to mix up with summon suffering. Exactly the same combo from While Rising B as well. This is character specific though. Against certain characters like Ivy, for example, you have to do that and not drop it. But that should do 74 damage, I think. Yeah, just imagine it did 74 damage.
Use your imagination, guys.
Yeah. We'll record them after and superimpose it on the top.
Yeah, exactly. We'll put it on top of the VOD.
Yeah. But against bigger characters, like most of the cast actually, you can do that combo. It drops an Ivy, but that'll give you 84 damage. While Rising B, the optimal is 8A plus B, that's 87 damage. Sorry, jump B, not While Rising B. But I'm just showing you the optimals. You will find that you can do like pretty much whatever you feel like. You could do this for the easy mode combo. So
a cheeky 2K at the end.
Yeah, I think they can tech it depending on how they fall.
Okay.
But yeah, so you can't go too wrong with a lot of these combos as long as you do something that connects. I'm just trying to show you the optimals here.
Yeah.
If you want another easy mode combo off full crouch 1B, because it's quite difficult, you have to turn around and then 4A, which can be pretty awkward, especially online.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it is a bit... If you want the easy mode
heavy combos.
Yeah, this character has a lot of them. Yes. I imagine that this was a tournament match. That's how I do combos. I imagine it's game-winning set, and I have to do this combo.
Not a bad mindset, if I'm honest.
Yeah, genuinely, it's the only way that I can actually do stuff in training. It was like this in Soulcalibur 5 with like Ukemi Just God. But anyway, that's way off track. Back to combos.
Yeah.
If you want the easy mode combo, you can do like back turn A and then that. That's a pretty easy mode combo. Or back turn B plus K. That's pretty easy. Yeah, so that should cover full crouch 1B and While Rising B. B6 is the other one with a load of different options. Optimal is to do this. This is a +10 restand, so you can keep the pressure up after that. That's 56 damage, should work at all ranges. But you can also sacrifice 1 point of damage to get an untechable knockdown, or you can sacrifice 1 point of damage to get a mid-range knockdown. I really like that one because the combo just lasts forever, so it's a good way to tilt people. They just have to watch themselves die really slowly. And you can end this however you want. You can do like mid-range Oki, or you can end it with 214B. While we're on this move as well, you can tech trap with... Oh no, that's not what I want to do. Yeah, you can Ukemi trap all directions with full crouch 3B. And it'll also hit them on the ground if they don't tech, so that's a really nice option.
God, the damage.
Oh yeah, but that only works in stun combos, by the way. So it would only work off this combo. In reality, if this wasn't a training mode dummy, this wouldn't have counter hit them. But if you just do this on its own and you want to tech trap them, full crouch 1B works as well. So yeah. Oh, I didn't imagine it was a tournament match.
Final round, final game, grand finals.
Yeah. And then also this is also a tech trap. That will do extra damage. I did it a bit late there. There we go. So yeah, tons of tech traps off that. While we're on this note as well, in general, like anything that stuns them and puts them on the ground like that, these tech traps apply. Whoops, a bit too slow. There we go. Count it 1k, you can do it off as well. Yeah, anything that stuns them and puts them on the ground like that, these tech traps apply. We were doing B6, weren't we? There were a couple more options that are probably worth mentioning.
Go for it.
You can do 66A. This also does 55. And if they try Ukemi, remember we saw earlier how that can become a tech trap if you delay it.
Oh, yes.
You can get a pretty dirty setup off this as well. This becomes a true mid unblockable at that range. Little bit of a gimmick. They can roll it to one side or backwards, I believe. Or they can tech backwards. So there are ways out of it, but you know, it's a nice little setup. And if you're really close, like if you're really aware of your ranges, there's going to be a range where it's hard to get it on Ivy. Yeah, this one. Yeah, there's a range where you can do that, where that becomes the best option. So yeah, that covers B6, but I'd encourage you to be creative. There's so much you can actually do off this. Like you can do this. This is less damage, but that's an untechable knockdown that puts them straight into this mix-up again. So yeah, feel free to be creative. There are a lot of things you can do off just a B6, or off a jump B, or off a while rising B, or off a full crouch 1B. Yeah, feel free to experiment. Just a couple more things worth talking about.
Do it.
Let's go with the remaining lethal hits. So, if you get a lethal hit 66A, yeah, you get a full combo off this. There are situations where you can guard break and get this as the post guard burst attack, which is really strong. That's also the exact same combo if they crouch guard into a 3B plus K. Do exactly the same thing. Here's a different Oki ender for you. Like
that Oki is my nightmare.
Yeah, it's really good against some characters. Like you can end it with Christmas Tree for optimal damage and Tech Trap, 214B for the SE Oki, and you can end it with 1B plus K if you want to like put them back into mid-range Oki. So you got a ton of options. What are the lethal hits? We've already seen her 2-2A lethal hit.
Yeah.
But I guess we can talk about setups as well. So this one's generally good for like space control. because after the 228, as I said earlier, you can like sidestep, so you can use this combo to like put them wherever you want on the map. But if you want raw damage and good Oki, you can also do full craps 3B combo. This is also 80-ish, depending on the range you hit them at. If you end up behind them, you can combo into CS. So yeah.
Just have a look at the bottom of the screen with all that nonsense notation.
Yeah, I really want to get just frame now because that's 90 damage. There we go. So if you get ICS, that's 90, which is pretty great. Be careful with it though, because sometimes it'll look like you're behind them and it'll actually not register as a back grab. So make sure you're paying attention. Another nice little setup. Oops. Step in the opposite direction, 6BA, that, 214B, and they get up back turned. So they basically have to hold a back turned SE mix up. Oops. Oh, maybe it doesn't work on Ivy. Oh, it's because I was too far behind her. It probably won't work on 66B. But basically you get like a back turned CS mix up. These combos all apply to lethal hit A plus B and lethal hit 3K. So I'll show you it on this one. Oh no, I messed up. There we go. So you get a back turn CS off these if they try and get up normally. And if they don't try and get up normally, then you have a legitimate force block. And yeah, that's plus 12 on block.
And then guard crush, then you can go into a combo or into a lethal hit setup.
Yeah, pretty amazing. But I think that's one of her strongest tools, and I'm surprised that people don't complain about that. I kind of regret showing it on stream now. I'm worried that
Everybody go and ask Okubo right now why this is in the game.
No, don't do it. I need this as a crutch. Yeah, it's super strong. They're legitimately in a guessing position because, like, I guess I didn't clarify, but for those of you who don't know, unless you have Aldo or Astroth, you can't break back grabs. So that CS is genuinely a 50-50 there. And SEB is a genuine force block. Like, they can't roll, they can't get up in GI or soul charge, they have to block it. And if they block it, they get CS'd to death. So yeah, that's a very nice little setup you can do if you want to sacrifice a bit of damage for a 50-50. Works off lethal hit 2-2A, lethal hit A plus B, and lethal hit 3K. I think that should cover those lethal hits. And really basic stuff. 3B, you can do 6B8, or you can do 214B, depending on the Oki you want. Similar combos for like counter hits like that. You get similar combos. Actually, for that one, you can do this into whatever Oki ender you want.
I think the essence of her combo game is that she is incredibly creative.
Yeah, this is so much fun about like playing her. In certain matchups, you want to do certain enders, but to be quite honest, I just do what I feel like. If I feel like some mid-range Oki, I'm going to put you in some mid-range Oki, and that's like all there is to it most of the time. But it makes her incredibly like liberating as a character because you feel like you can just do anything. Like as soon as you land a hit, it's like, oh, what creative thing do I want to do now? Fun fact that if you get 3B at tip range, this is a combo. So that's worth noting if you're pretty good at judging space. I think I've done like all the important lethal hits. As a general rule, if you for tech traps, you can. I should get to tech. After these sorts of combos, you can tech trap with 6-6A, and then you can tech trap again with 9D plus K.
It's an infinite loop of tech traps.
Yeah, basically don't tech against this character. It's not a good idea. Another thing, like after these sorts of moves, even if you don't want to like tech trap them, if they tech, like this is basically a force block if you time it right. I'm doing it too early. So if the opponent techs, they kind of put themselves into this 50-50 where they have to guess. So I think forward and backward tech are usually better against Ivy, but be aware that you shouldn't be teching all the time because she will murder you for it.
Oh yes, she will.
Yeah. So I think that's good for tech traps. I saw that in this section you were also wondering about frame traps as well.
Yep, of course. Covering all the options.
Yeah, so a few things for frame traps. This shouldn't take too much time because in general her frames aren't super oppressive. But she has like a handful of things, a handful of tools that are ridiculously plus that you should be aware of. So she has a few plus 10 things. We've seen them already. This on hit is plus 10. This on block is plus 10. So she has genuine frame traps off these. Like after this, if she does Wild Rising K, you can't sidestep, you can't you can't reverse ledge. Sorry, you actually can't even soul charge after out of the Wild Rising K. And then also if she does this into full crouch 3B, on block of course. If you block this, you're at -10. No character has a button that will interrupt that. So that's a genuine frame trap for all attacks.
Until Setsuka comes out and she has an I6.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, if we get an I6 or an I8 CE, that will probably work.
Easy clap.
Yeah. But other than that, legitimate frame trap. And also, it might seem like the best idea there is to just GI, because that will beat those options. But if Ivy is ever +2 and she chooses to GI, in fact, let's just... If Ivy's ever +10 and the opponent GIs, let's set it up with the recording. Yeah, I'm about to do this. So I'm going to GI, try to duck, can't duck. That's a legitimate punish.
So just real quick on that UB, is it a bug that it hits close to her? Or is it intended?
It should always hit close to her.
Okay.
It's a little bit buggy in that like it's got a lot of active frames, and sometimes you'll duck the first hit and the attack hasn't finished and you'll stand up into it. I see that happen.
Okay,
like, it's
right.
not consistent frames. So you kind of have to commit to the duck because at certain ranges, like the close range frames are a bit funny.
Sure.
But no, this is a genuine, like, really good answer to GI when you're at +10 or more. And the great thing is you can react to them not GIing. So we'll do this, and then we'll start doing 2 on 4A. Oh no, they didn't GI. Okay, we'll grab them. Because essentially you're using this to mask the buffer for your grabs. So, and you can cancel it really late.
That is a really late cancel. Bloody hell.
Yeah, she winds all the way back in.
That's a great animation, to be fair.
Yeah. After Halmaru's drinking his
Drinking a sauce, yeah.
Yeah, it's the second best unblockable cancel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so if you think they might GI, this isn't even high commitment, because if they don't GI, you just cancel it. And
she can even cancel from the flash.
I
just saw you cancel a UB from the flash. That's disgusting.
Yeah, it goes right until the end of the animation. So you've got all the time in the world to be like, did he GI? No, he didn't GI. Okay, right, I'll cancel it now.
You see, just there, you did it again. That's disgusting. There, what the hell? Okubo, please.
Yeah, it's so good. Wait, alright.
I cry.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, don't GI predictably against Ivy either. That's not great. So that's the +10 situation. She's got a couple of +12 situations, which are 3A on hit, or this thing on block. And that will be, if they block it, that's also +10. So same thing applies. If you want to kill their GI, you do 2 on 4A. when you're plus 12, they can't soul charge out of 3k. So if you think they're going to mash soul charge, you can just 3k them out of it. And they can't do anything other than GI or block it. They can't step it or soul charge or reversal edge. They can't even reversal edge out of I-16s after that. So you can do 6-6k, you can do 6-6b, or you can use it to buffer CS. And all of those things will beat reversal edge. And will beat step as well. Like, even though this is vertical, because you're plus 12, they just don't have the frames to step it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, be aware of those two. Be aware of the just frames and 3A. And those are super oppressive. And the only other last one that I can think of is 6-6BB. This is plus 14. Like, near a wall, it combos into 3k. Do you see that? That was a legit.
Yeah.
Like, this is actually...
That's 57.
Yeah, I mean, that'll never happen. But it's super rare for it to happen.
It's the fact that it exists, though.
Yeah, it's just to demonstrate the fact that this really is plus 16. Not a lot of things are plus 14.
Plus 14, yeah.
Not a lot of things are plus 14 in this game. Unless they're like legitimate stuns. So because of that, you can like 6-6A and that'll be anything they want to do. It'll frame trap them, any type of movement. Because Ivy's skinny, you got to take a tiny step forward.
Mm.
But yeah, that kind of covers all bases if they want to duck as well. And then if you get them being passive, you can start introducing these things. Genuine mix-up there. And if they start seeing these things and they're trying to GI, you could... Well, for one, you could do the cancel and then to bait the GI and then punish them. But the second thing that you can do is that it will actually reach from this range. Whoops. Right, GI. And because this moves them so far back, you'll often like put them against the wall.
Yeah.
And then you can just kind of delete them.
Yeah, that is redonkulous damage.
I wasn't quite in range for that. Too ambitious. But yeah, that's her highest damage wall combo, aside from like some soul charge jank or tech traps. So, yeah, we've got SE4B and 6B plus K are plus 10, 3A and Howling Spirits just frames plus 12, 6-6BB plus 14. They're like the ones that are super plus on hit or block that you have to be aware of, where she can just like frame trap you, movement trap you. But other than those moves, Ivy, her sort of frame trap game is more what I would call like space traps, if that's a thing. I don't know if it is, but
it is now. You've just coined it.
Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna take credit anytime someone uses that.
A space trap.
It sounds like some sort of like some genre of music that like hipster vaporwave bands listen to. But yeah, space trap is the idea that like a lot of her pokes and tools in general just have like a ton of pushback. Let's just make her block everything. You know, like tip range of 6-6A creates a lot of space, or like tip range of 6BB, a lot of space. You can do like this. This is 0 on block, to be fair. Like 6-6K creates a lot of space. So yeah, tools like this aren't necessarily amazing on block. Like this is -8. This is -4, which is pretty good. But yeah, this is -8 as well. But the fact that it creates this distance, you can generally like just backstep, and any option they want to do will probably lose to that. So you kind of create these situations where if they want to contest your backstep, then you can just like you can get away with just mashing, basically. Just keep pressing buttons.
The mash lord.
Yeah. So use the whole zoning and pushback thing to facilitate your ability to mash. Like, just because this character wasn't designed to mash, it doesn't mean we can't find creative ways to mash.
Frame data is a social construct, remember?
Yeah, exactly.
Not true.
If you want to identify as being plus, just be plus. Be your best plus for yourself. Who am I to stop you?
Soulcalibur in a bloody nutshell, yeah. You want to be plus, just believe you are plus.
Yeah. I'm Ivy. I can be whatever I want, right? I'm a zoner. I'm a grappler. I'm also +10.
I'm at everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there
Yeah. That was the very, very, very in-depth combos, tech traps, and frame traps. A lot of characters won't have, you know, the same amount of tech traps or frame traps that a character like Maxi will have, but they've always got a couple, and I think they're always worth exploring just so people know that they exist. Because sometimes, you know, you might want to start learning a character and you go up against somebody like Maxi and you think, why does this character have so many frame traps and all of these tech traps? Why don't I get any of them? Everybody has at least some to give you some more utility to your character.
And when you've got such great defensive options,
Excuse me.
even though you don't have the frames for those kind of mix-ups and that kind of pressure, you know, just the fear of you doing something defensive allows you to be like one of those characters, to be like Maxi, and say, oh, I'm gonna pressure you because you're afraid of what I'm gonna do on defense.
Exactly. So we're going to move on to our final two. Well, not our final. Our next two. The second being the penultimate section. But the two that we're going to be covering now are the matchups and then the buffs, nerfs, changes, and adjustments. So these are the more polarizing of the sections that we have in these TTTs, mostly because they are usually based in more opinion and subjective thought rather than objective. Of course, everybody would love these arguments to be completely objective and for us to have like an entity coming down from the heavens to say, this is what this character needs, this is what this character has to get taken away, this is what they need to be fixed. But please bear in mind that this is a person's opinion, and this person is a competitive player at the top of their game. So I put a lot of stock in their opinions, and I hope you do too. But without me rambling on too much more, Carp, let us know the definition, or not the definition, but let us know the matchup spread, in your opinion, of Ivy.
Yeah, of course. So I talk a lot with other Ivy players to get their perspective on the game. And I find that the whole matchup meta really does vary a lot between regions and just between different players having different approaches to the game. So yeah, thanks for the disclaimer, because it's important to note that what I tell you isn't going to be what every Ivy player agrees with.
Of course.
Personally, I believe, and a lot of people will agree with me on these at least, she does have a handful of matchups that are unfavourable. I don't think she has any that are so bad that it's like you need to learn a new second character just for those matchups. Like, they're just ones where, you know, you got to work a bit harder. And for me, I think those characters are, well, firstly the punishment characters, which I said before, Sophitia and Raphael. Raphael, because like he can punish from any range basically, like especially when he's got a CE, he can punish you from this range. So, like, I can't even just like throw out stuff like this comfortably against Raphael, and he's got stuff like 6-6B, 6-6B plus K. You know, wherever you are, he can whiff punish you. If you're up close, he can lethal hit whiff punish you for whatever you whiff. He's got a lethal hit for every type of whiff. And what's something that's really significant is he's got a lethal hit for ducking a grab. So basically, any time that Raphael guesses right, any time that you overcommit on offense and he guesses right, your health bar just kind of evaporates. So that's why I pick Raphael.
Evaporate is a good word to use there.
Yeah, it's how I describe the sensation of like watching yourself get hit by this. You can just see that health bar melt away. So as well as Raphael, Sophitia I think is a difficult matchup as well. Like, she doesn't evaporate your health as much as Raphael, but again, she's just got these really accessible lethal hit punishers, as well as good block punishment. Like, if you whiff a horizontal like 3A or Christmas Tree or 2A or, you know, any of these against Sophitia, or if you do like A6 and she goes under it, you get lethal hit for it. She's just an amazing counter zoner character because she approaches with tech crouches. She's got this twin angel step, which just makes her like a moving tech.
Perpetually tech crouched. Yeah, she was born tech crouched.
Yeah, like she's may as well just like be on the ground rolling your face. It's a super tech crouch as well. It will occasionally go under stuff like 3A and 66A.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, you can't really keep this character out. So the strengths that Ivy has with controlling the space are kind of thrown out the window a little bit with Sophie, and you kind of have to let her do some of the talking. It can't always be Ivy doing the talking and asking the questions. So that's why I'd say Sophie. And then 2 others for me. I think Mina is also a difficult matchup. For similar reasons, again, Mina's got a lethal hit on a whiffed grab punishment. But also, just Ivy's buttons in general kind of allow Mina to do Mina things. Like, I think a 2A is very useful against Mina. Because I don't know if all of you know, like, PSA, if you don't already know this, Mina's
Attention.
2A. Yeah, this is important because I hate Mina. And I'm very vocal about it. If Mina does 2A on hit or 66A on hit, these moves are both -2, not -2, +2 on hit. It's not be all end all, her turn, time to turtle up and guess. So if Mina hits you at close range with a 2A her back until she proves that she's going to counter it. Because I see Mina players do it all the time. They do 2A on hit, and they're like, okay, now I'm going to full crouch 1K you, or I'm going to safe while rising B you. Like, don't let her do that. But with her not having a 2A, with her having like slower pokes in general, because like her A is I12, but it's a high, and 3K is on the I14. With Ivy not having these fast buttons, she kind of has to respect Mina a little bit, and as a result, she's guessing a lot on full crouch 1K and while rising B. Ivy can't punish 2-2B. You've got to really overcommit and start moving and try and whiff punish it. And stuff with pushback, like her 6A is really hard to punish. You need to be really close to get your 6-6B punish. Even 1B is kind of awkward to punish. Like if you block it at this range, you're not really getting anything. You're best off just doing like one of these mix-ups.
I love the fact that it just went straight past their head as well.
Yeah, that can happen too. But 1B's not too bad though.
Ivy weakness right.
Right. But yeah, I just find it a difficult matchup because I think you do have to let Mina do Mina things, and the one thing you don't want to do in the Mina matchup is let Mina do Mina things.
Too true.
Yeah, so that's definitely a difficult one. And of course, Mina can whiff punish you at any range. She controls the range just as well as Ivy because she's got lethal hit 6A. And then my only other one matchup that I think is like genuinely hard enough to be worth mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think Amy is a really bad matchup. I'm personally biased. I think Amy is just mad good and does not lose to a lot of the cast.
I think you're not alone in those thoughts, to be fair.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup because Ivy's got really good whiff punishment, and before Amy gets roses, like Ivy can kind of make it hard for her because like Amy completely loses the damage war without roses, and without 4AA, like Ivy's kind of free to move a lot more, and like Amy's ways of building roses are generally quite linear. Like, ideally, she wants to be doing like 1B and 2-2B. So it's an interesting matchup because sometimes Ivy is the kind of character who can steamroll Amy and you'll just 3-0 her and she won't build roses. Like that can happen. But I think it's incredibly difficult as soon as she gets roses, and it's so easy to get roses now.
Mm.
So once she's got roses, like your movement's so limited because of 4AA, and then the post 4AA situation isn't great for Ivy because she's not got good moves to like challenge the opponent. Like I said before, Ivy can't really scrap with opponents, and Amy is designed to scrap with people and get in. Like she's got that 6-6A which covers so much ground and lets her get in instantly. She's got her 2-2B to get in. And then it's basically always Amy's turn once she's in, because she's got a million different tech crouches and mids and mid horizontals that also tech crouch and are super safe, and she can still keep pressing buttons and all these AGIs. So she basically makes it so that Ivy is kind of suffocated in the matchup.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I think Amy is pretty difficult. And she's got tons of tech crouches, so Ivy can never get anything started. You can't really start grabbing her or anything. All you can really do is just keep running away and hope that she tires herself out and then punish her when she does something stupid.
Tries to do those like tech jumping long range horries and mids.
Yeah, just wait for them and then backstep.
Let's close the gap, yeah.
I really have the same approach with Amy as like a parent would with like a hyperactive toddler. Like, just don't give them attention and they'll tire themselves out eventually.
Just back away slowly, lock them in a room, let them tucker themselves out.
Yeah, so that's parenting tips with HolyCarp and Danurai.
Please don't take parenting tips from HolyCarp.
Yeah, please don't. I hate children. Amy has put me off children for a long time.
Oh, wow.
Can't stand her.
That's strong words. A character in a fighting game was put you off children.
Yep.
That's how strongly you dislike her.
That is how much I hate the Amy matchup.
Damn, that's mad.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the ones that I think are difficult matchups. Some Ivy players will tell you, I think some people really don't like the 2B matchup. Some people say Grow is a bad matchup. I think Ivy really beats Grow, but I don't have much Grow experience, so I won't comment on it. But I think Ivy kills him. And as well as the other one that a lot of Ivy players will tell you is a bad matchup. And I think it's kind of difficult because, like, you can't really do anything in sword mode as well, because he just punishes anything if you try and get anything started. Like if you whiff something, it's take this and this, and if you do anything on block, it's just A/B punish.
Yeah.
And then in axe mode, I talked about it briefly before. Ivy's not good at like blurring the lines between whose turn it is. She's generally quite high commitment. So she's like, oh, I guessed wrong. Okay, you can do something now. Which you do not want to do against Aswell. I think that's potentially an unfavourable matchup.
I guess it would just depend on how you play the matchup itself.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to that, because Ivy does have the tools to do pretty much anything. So, yeah, there are ways around it. They're both high commitment characters. Well, Axe mode in particular are both high commitment characters. So it's just one of those matchups where you're going to be forced to guess. You're going to force him to guess. But if you guess right more often, you're going to win. Simple as that.
Simple.
This really is a just guess right forehead kind of matchup.
Lab the 50-50, bro.
Yeah, what are you doing? You're not labbing this 50-50?
So just to quickly sum up, you think that her only bad matchups are Raph, Sophie, Mina, and Amy. She excels against characters who kind of struggle to contest the 4G. So basically characters like X and Killick and Yoshi, those types of characters. Yeah,
exactly right. Yeah. Just the fact that she has all of these amazing get off me tools, and against those characters, they have to constantly think about Christmas tree. It's hard for them to get stuff going in neutral with that. Characters like X and Yoshi, majority of situations where they might have slight plus frames and want to enforce them, but 4G just eliminates it. Like, everything in their moveset will be gone. Like, there are so many situations against Yoshi, for example, where he literally can't kill her backstep. Like, he's hit her with something, he's guessed right, and she's just like, nah. Like,
nah, mate.
The 4-4 B slide G, is it? The lethal hit on count hit that's supposed to kill backstep. And Ivy will just backstep it. The sword will, like, touch her nose, but she'll be like, nah, I'm good, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, those characters, I think, have quite a hard time because you just kind of get a really messed up meta game going on where all they're thinking about is, like, backstep and Christmas tree, and it's like, it's just super oppressive for them. They don't really get stuff going easily.
Yeah.
Like, she by no means destroys them. They've all got the tools that they need to contest with her. Like, Xianghua has 6-6B. You know, you can't really zone out a character consistently with that move. they all have the tools. But
Yeah.
I think they
Okay.
have a bad time.
So yeah, that's my brain. That's HolyCarp's matchup spread for Ivy. So now we're going to go into the penultimate section, which is probably the most contentious section that we have, which are the adjustments, buffs, nerfs, and changes that our top tier tutorial guest thinks needs to be implemented for their character. So once again, quick disclaimer, this is one person's opinion and the opinion of somebody who is a competitive player who has competed at some of the highest levels. So please take what they say in stride, but always with a pinch of salt. So have at it.
Yeah, ignore that. Ivy needs buffs, and you better believe every word that I say.
Damn it, Carp.
No, okay, I'll try and be unbiased. Honestly, I don't think that Ivy really needs anything to compete in this meta. Like, I think she has all of the tools that she needs already. Like, there are matchups where things are difficult, but you know, she always finds answers, basically.
Yeah.
To be realistic about the changes that I think really should happen, there are a few bugs that I'd like to be fixed. Her 6-6A is kind of buggy. Sometimes the first hit will connect and then the second hit will whiff. Sometimes I'll be standing there and like both hits just go through them. Like it doesn't happen much on Ivy. I don't know if I'll be able to create it. Yeah, there you go, like that. Which might be intended, but I think it's just a bit silly at this point because 6-6A has been nerfed enough that, like, you know, if you move forward and block it, you launch her for it. I don't think that should exist anymore. We saw earlier in the tutorial when I was doing this move, sometimes it just completely goes through her with a certain timing. I don't know if I can find the timing again, but yeah, sometimes the second hit just whiffs against certain characters. I think that's definitely a bug. 4-4B is a little bit buggy as well. Because of the way she moves sideways, if the opponent moves forward, they like move into the space that she created, and it just creates this really ugly situation where both characters whiff and the attacks go through each other. I think that they need to look at the hitbox on this. And yeah, the only other bug I can think of at the moment is this thing. Oh, that's also kind of a bug. But what?
What are you trying to do?
It's just inputs. There we go. Yeah, that wasn't the angle. Basically, if you do this, that's part of the bug. You can see my inputs. I did 6B plus K, and the camera switches and it just doesn't recognize the input. Or alternatively, see if I can get set up the other one. Yeah, or that happens. The camera switches. So all these times when I feel like I'm entitled to my wall hit and massive combo.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, it's because we know it. Like, the Ivy players are used to it. It's so consistent.
Wow.
Like, they're that close to it either swallows your input completely, or there we go, it swallowed my input that time, or it's a weird camera thing. So yeah, those bug fixes are the only things I think she really needs. Like, if we want to make this game the best version of the game that it can be. But aside from that, I think she's got a couple of useless moves that it'd be nice if they buffed them just so they had a purpose. And those are while rising A, hold. Like, there's just no reason to use this move. It's -2 on hit and on counter hit, -16 on block, and it's 14 damage, which is nothing. Like, why would you not just use that move? Which is amazing, by the way. This move is really good. People should be using it. Or this move, or even this move. Like, yeah, make this move usable, and make this move usable. Full crouch 3K. Like, it's got good tech crouch frames, but like the problem is this is -12 on block and -4 on hit and counter hit. Like, if you want to tech crouch in mid, you just do this. Like, this move need to exist right now, and it looks really stupid. Right? So
it's a bit weird, yeah.
which I kind of like about it. Like, give me a reason to use this stupid looking kick. So yeah, and also I think her CE is pretty bad. I would thoroughly encourage some kind of buff to it. I think the way it was in version 1 was pretty toxic. I've always been of the opinion that neither Ivy nor Zaslamel should have had that CE ever to begin with. This is my bias talking, obviously. But I do think if we went back to version 1 CE, this character would just, no. Let's not do that.
Moving swiftly on.
As much as I would love that. But I wish they'd either give it some different GI properties to make it more usable, or just remove the GI and make it I16, because they did that with this version from Stance. So yeah, I'd be happy if they just made it an I16 standardized CE, because at the moment it just doesn't have any purpose except for like really specific scenarios.
Yeah.
I think that's the main buffs that I would ask for. I'm not really a fan of this move at the moment, Spiral Lust B. So like her CE, I think it's had the same sort of syndrome as her CE, where it was on release, it was absolutely bonkers. Like it just on block, it kind of like it was like 668.
Yeah.
It just there we go. Here's some more glitches for you. Like 668, it just kind of pushed them out to this kind of range on block. It was broken at the start, but like it just annoys me because like she flicks the whip up in the air. Like everything about this animation to me kind of looks like you should be knocked upwards or back. I just don't think the physics looks right on this move. The way it just pulls them in by like 2 meters.
Yeah, fair.
I don't think it fits her design either. I think like everything she does like has a bit of pushback in general, so it's kind of random that this one move pulls them in. Like it just feels like this was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to the OP version of the move. Personally, I'd prefer it if it pushed back slightly but was more unsafe. I think that would be more healthy. Because at the moment, just doing this has so much reward up close, and like I feel like it would probably be more healthy if you could actually punish her for doing that up close at least, and then it gives you more reason to use such a high commitment move further away, because it's then it becomes a spacing tool.
Yeah.
So that's probably like the only buffs that I would realistically ask for. A kind of general note is that I want everyone in this game to be nerfed to the ground. I hate fighting everyone, especially in Soul Charge. It's just not fun. I hate how good every character is. So, in general note, I would love it if like lots of characters got some nerfs to encourage more counterplay, more punishment. And if that happened, I think it'd be nice if Ivy also had some nerfs to go along with it too. Like, I don't think full crouch 1B has any business being minus 12 and doing 87 damage. Like, I think tone down the damage or make it more unsafe. I don't think Christmas Tree has any right doing everything that it does. It's a mid-horizontal, it hits on the ground, it AGIs every hit level, it does 12% guard damage, which not many horizontals do. Like, that's what verticals usually do. It can be made safe, so you can actually like bait your opponent for trying to punish it by making it safe. It's a spacing tool, it's an anti-duck, it plays the game for you, basically. Like, I don't think it's completely OP or anything. Well, it's kind of OP, but I don't think it's
just a little bit.
I think it's like the level of OP that a lot of other characters have. And I'd love it if we saw some of those OP tools disappearing. You know, stop Sophie from being able to go, yeah. Stop Ivy from being able to go, oh. You know, that kind of change I would support. Like, just nerf something about the moves that it doesn't do everything, you know. It's fine if it wants to stay a strong move, but it's a bit silly that it does literally everything a move could ever do. And so I think that's pretty much it for things that I realistically would like changed.
Okay, cool. Yeah, fair enough. Sorry, I'm just answering some emails. Um, so that was nerf Christmas tree. Did you mention redesign her grabs?
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Something that I have asked for in the past, something I've thought from the beginning, is that her grabs don't really make that much sense to me. She is a zoner after all, and she's got really good normal hit damage up close as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see this ever happening because it's such a big mechanical change. But if I had free reign over the character, and a lot of Ivy players probably wouldn't want this to happen, so I guess like people won't enjoy this. But I would make SS breakable. I think it's a bit silly having an unbreakable grab on this character. I would increase the break window on CS because I think it's a bit. I don't know. The fact that it's borderline reactable doesn't seem like it's not my favorite game design on something that does as much as 80 damage. You know, it's not like something like this that's borderline reactable, and it's not the end of the world if you get hit by it. But CS, like the fact that
insane.
this is toxic online as well. Like if you're the sort of player who actually can break it, which is super rare by the way, I hate people with this offline all the time. But if you can break it, this thing is so toxic online, like, it's unreal. So obviously, I want the netcode to be buffed more than anything else.
Yes, please, Okubo.
If that's the one thing, the one take home for what I want a better netcode.
A better netcode would be mwah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe for Christmas. If we spam this move enough, Okubo will bless us. But yeah, I'd probably make it so that CS is possible to break, SS is possible to break. Give them realistic grab windows, standardize them a little bit, make them a command grab so they're plus on break, but like standardize the speed and range of them so that it's an actual 50-50, like in terms of which one you break. I just think that would be a lot more healthy. And yeah, as I said before, I'd be happy with them like nerfing some close range stuff like full crouch 3B and even Christmas tree, full crouch 3B. I wouldn't mind them nerfing close range stuff if that meant we could have like some new long range tools. I would love the return of the count hit 3A stun. Like, that was so good. In previous games, this used to crumple stun them.
Crumple stun. Blech.
Yeah. And like now it just pushes back, which is nice still. But yeah, if I could be like really cheeky and ask for one disgusting thing, I'd like that to stun. Like, I don't want it to combo. Like I don't want it to be like this, where you just caught. Like that would be disgusting if you just tried to step and then she put you in a full launch combo. I like it more like this, where you're just on the ground and then you get back up. There's no guaranteed combo off 6-6B. Like you can tech out of that. Oh, that's not even a combo in the first place. You can tech out that. So yeah.
But generally,
if I'm gonna be
we nerfed the CS and the SS. Easy clap.
Yeah, and nerf every other character as well, so that everyone else is weak.
Except for Maxi. Don't nerf Maxi.
No,
Keep
heaven's
Maxi.
guard.
No. Never. Okay. Cool. So that was the end of the sections, apart from the conclusion. But usually, before we do that, I ask the chat if they have any questions, and it seems we've had a couple, which we will have to limit. So if there's somebody else who has a question, I'll ask 3 questions, then we'll go to the conclusion, because I am also hosting the OFC in about 20 minutes time. So I want to make sure that I give myself a little break. But also, Carp will be joining me on commentary in about an hour after we start the OFC. But before that, I'll be joined by Ryan Esler, who some of you may know from the Tekken community. Amazing commentator, has done a bunch of majors, and yeah, he's kindly agreed to help me out for the first hour. But like I said, we're going to get through the questions, then we'll get through to the conclusion, and then we'll take a quick break. So the first one from Andy was, what changes would you make to Christmas Tree? You've already covered them, but again, if you wouldn't mind just recapping for Mr. Andy Roo.
To be honest, I'm not actually that fussed about which of the changes I'd make, because like basically I've listed how I think the move kind of does everything. I guess I'd say like pick two of those everything things that it does, and get rid of them. Just pick any two. So either get rid of the ability to make it unsafe, to make it unsafe. So basically have it always be -16, so that characters could DE or SA punish it. Like then there would be an actual risk to it. To be honest, I don't want that one to happen because that's probably the biggest nerf that could happen. Or like make it GI a certain type of move, like maybe just make it all horizontals, or make it all mids, or even all mids and highs. Make it like Siegfried's Dark Legacy bubble. You know, just make it so that it doesn't beat everything and has some counterplay to it.
Yeah.
Or make it so it doesn't hit grounded, so that it's not an Oki tool. Or I don't know, make it steppable to one side. Actually, I don't want that. That would probably look a bit silly. I don't know. Nerf the damage, maybe. 40 damage is quite a lot for such a fast move that does everything. Could nerf the startup frames so that stuff like 2k into Christmas tree is less of a thing. I'd say, like, yeah, basically pick one or two of all of those things.
Yeah.
On the condition that, like, other characters get nerfed too, though.
I love that disclaimer. Make sure everyone else gets net as well.
Yeah, that would only be fair.
The second question, and looks like last, will be from Silent Joel. I'm not entirely sure if this was a Lel question or if he genuinely wants an answer to it, but how is Sieg on the same level of nonsense as Ivy?
I don't think he's quite the same level of nonsense, but I think he's like 3 characters below her in the tier list. In my mental tier list.
So, okay, in that case, give us your top 5 right now.
Okay. Alright, I guess hot take, and also this applies to this meta. I always say things like this, and then someone watches a VOD back of like a year ago, and they're like, how the hell is Xianghua that strong? So, in the current meta, for me, top 5 roughly in order. I'm going to say Mina, Amy, Zasalamel, Raphael, and I'm putting Ivy 5th. For the first time ever in the game ever, am I putting her out of top 3? Like every iteration of the game, top 3. So yeah, Ivy is 5th for me at the moment, and then after Ivy, I think we get like Aswell, Sophia, Siegfried, that ilk of character. Maybe Cassandra, Cervantes, Maxi are also in that kind of level of bullshit. But I think all of those characters, including Siegfried, kind of occupy the same level of dumb.
Yeah, fair enough. All right then. Well, thank you, Mr. Carp, for joining me, but we're not done yet. We have your conclusion on this character called Ivy Valentine, who is, by your own admission, a top 5 character. So yeah, Carp, if you want to give us a very, very quick conclusion, a quick sum up of your thoughts of this character. And then what we'll do is we'll go into the break before OFC starts in about 15 minutes and get everybody back.
Yeah, sure. So just really quickly, I'm really happy with this character in general. I think she competes really well with the entire cast. Even the bad matchups don't feel super painful for me. So if you're worried about how good she is, as you've just heard, I literally think this character's top 5, so don't worry about that. But more importantly than that, I think this is just a really fun character. Like, she's just so creative, and there's so much room for self-expression with her. Like I was saying before, like when it comes to combos, I often just do whatever the hell I feel like doing, and that's fun. Like, if I want to put you in this mix-up, I put you in this mix-up. It's just, yeah. So much creativity, so much freedom with the character, so much self-expression, to really like find the way you want to play, find your own unique setups, your own rhythm, your own approach to the game. Yeah, and she's incredibly rewarding as well. I'm the kind of person who needs to be challenged by their characters, I think. Like, I always say, oh, I'm going to play an easy mode character, brain dead, top tier. I was saying at the start of Soulcalibur, I'm going to play like a low execution character, so I don't have to put the time in. And yeah, now here I am, like mashing 7 inputs after everything to do a grab. Yeah, if you're one of those people who, as much as you might hate to admit it, you need to be challenged by your character, Ivy will do that. She'll force you to be creative in certain matchups, have really unique approaches, and like really better yourself with execution, because the ceiling for this character is so high. I think there's an argument for her being way above top 5 if you want to get into theory fighting of people who can just throw those out like they're nothing. So yeah, incredibly fun, creative, rewarding character, so much self-expression. And if all of this that you've seen today appeals to you, I really recommend picking her up. Like, she's not as intimidating as she might look to learn. There's a lot of depth to her, but you'd be surprised. Like, give it a go if you like this character.
There you go. Give it a go if you like this character. High skill ceiling, high execution, 7 inputs in 3 seconds. Sounds like Setsuka, just not Setsuka.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Carp, for coming on to the top tier tutorial. It's been wonderful having you. I have been very conscious of time, but you have stuck to it perfectly. I think we even said that making it in-depth, detailed, but succinct is the perfect way to go about these tutorials, and you've done it sublimely. So thank you very much for thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for teaching everyone about Ivy Valentine. I'm sure we've come away with some different opinions on what we thought. Excuse me, different opinions of what we thought about this character. And I just want to thank you once again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to just share the knowledge and generally talk about Ivy. Like, when you told me that we'd go as long as 2.5 hours, at first I was like, really? But yeah, then I remembered I just love ranting about Ivy, so thank you for giving me a 2.5 hour platform to talk about her. I appreciate it.
No problem.
And I hope that anyone who has stuck around this long, well, first of all, congratulations for listening to my voice for that long. But
it's very soothing.
Thank you so much. And I hope you learned something.
I'm sure everybody loves your voice. I mean, me and Andy went on a cheeky little road trip with you to Newcastle, and it was wonderful. Wouldn't change it for the world. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you'd like to support the channel, please click that subscribe button to get updates every time I upload, but I also stream on Twitch and have a Twitter account. If you'd like to follow both of those, the links are on your screen and down in the description. Take care and stay safe.